Good morning. It's Monday. Welcome to the Better Business Workshop. I hope you've had a great weekend. Definitely feels like the world's starting to return to some kind of normal, kind of 1 week past the announcement now. I saw the transport systems are getting back up and running now. Trains are starting to get back up and running as well. So starting to return to some sort of normal. So I guess as we do that, I guess we're starting to be clear now, or starting to think about what our business is going to look like as we go forwards. Before we dive into that, and be joined by my colleague Mark Miller in a second, would be great if you could share this stuff. Let's get it out to our fellow business owners. You can also come and join us in the Better Business Workshop. There's groups over in Facebook and LinkedIn. So let's talk about achieving your goals, getting what you want, essentially, and we'll do that kind of building on what we did on Friday, actually, which was the law of attraction. We're going to talk about the law of intention today. Mark, good morning. How are you?
I'm very, very good, and I'm very heartened. Excuse me, my voice went then, didn't it? It's a Monday morning. I'm very heartened by the news yesterday that I know this is very unlikely, but the news that there may be a mass vaccine running by September. Did you read that, Mark?
I did, yeah. Well,
And the
certainly
work from Oxford and AstraZeneca being put together for millions of doses by September.
13 million doses. Yeah, they've
Yeah,
said, well,
yeah,
if one becomes available, if we get one, then we'll have 13
yeah.
million by September. I think the issue is they haven't actually got one yet. But
Yeah, they've got one that's worked on monkeys. It's worked in the monkey
okay.
trials. It hasn't yet been tested on the human trials. It's a low probability, but Mark, it's just when you get those elements of news and they leak out, it gives you the realization that we're talking about intentions today. The
Yeah,
intention to solve this is very,
absolutely.
very, very strong. And actually, as a country, and I think it's something I'm particularly proud of, as a country in that sphere, we've got a lot of things wrong, but in that particular sphere, we're way ahead of the rest of the world, and I
Absolutely,
think that is
absolutely, Mark.
superb.
But
Really good
good,
news.
good. Set our plans, where we're going, what we're going to achieve. Actually, before we dive into this, Mark, I've realised I need to. I have a slide before that, so
Yeah, yeah.
let's
It's
dive onto that. Hang on a second. Let's get some slides up and working. Here we go. So, folks, before we dive into getting what we want, we've got a workshop coming up on Wednesday night, right, Mark? And we're going to be talking to the folks about how to restart our business. So, folks, it's entirely complimentary. It's running on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So get yourself over to the LinkedIn and Facebook groups, the Better Business Workshop, and all of the details over there. And we look forward to seeing you there. All right, Mark. So let's talk about, as you were saying then, let's talk about this law of intention, which is a build on the law of attraction, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of interest. We talked about sport. Do you remember on Friday, Mark? We talked about having a coach and visualizing the outcome of your activity.
Yeah.
There's been an awful lot of work in psychology in recent years on the concept of neuroplasticity. I've been very lucky. Last 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I was working with a construction company, French construction company working in London, and they wanted their people to be more imaginative and creative.
Okay.
And we were doing webinars with them running on the concept of neuroplasticity.
Okay.
So I'm going to get into a little bit of psychology just for a couple of seconds on this Monday morning to wake everybody up.
Oh, great. The folks are
Here we
saying.
go. Here I go. This is great. So let me keep this really, really short because I'm not, my mind isn't running well at the moment. There's two types of neuroplasticity, Mark. There's structural and there is functional. Now, structural neuroplasticity means this. If you have a different experience, your brain changes the way that it is wired together.
Okay.
Classic would be learning to drive a car. You're having an experience, and your brain actually rewires it. It's plastic. It rewires itself. That's based on the structural plasticity.
Okay.
Functional plasticity is us deliberately changing the way that we think,
Okay.
and that actually rewires parts of the brain. Physically rewires parts of the brain.
So is that like setting intention then?
So when it gets to intention, it's exactly that, Mark. It's exactly that. It's to do with the language we use to ourselves. Now, you and I have probably, all of us watching this, have probably come across the person who says, well, I'm going to try to restart my business, or I'm going to try to learn to cook this dish, or I'd really like to be able to, and this language, words are very, very powerful in the brain. And when we set our minds to try something, that's what we do. We try.
Yeah.
We don't do it. We'll just spend our time trying to do it. So intention is about getting words in our head which are really clear.
Yeah.
So I intend to is a completely different mind thought process than I'll try to. And it produces different activities in the brain and then different actions.
So that's great, Mark. So to kind of bringing that kind of a bit closer to the folks at home then for their businesses and kind of bringing that, how do we apply that? We've got this simple little formula, which is if we get really, really clear on what our intention is, or another way of saying intention is what our goal is, what we want to achieve.
Yep.
And we're really clear that we have the belief to make it. By the way, the belief can include the number of actions that we take, the number of steps that we take to deliver that intention, right? Then kind of the amount of intention that we have or the clarity we have on our intention plus the amount of steps that we take to deliver it will lead us to make that or the manifestation, it will lead us to make that happen, right?
Well, the curious thing is it's very, very simple. We if we change the language we use to ourselves, the belief starts to grow. So if we say, I'm going to make my business great next year, not I'd like to make my business great, or I'm going to try to make my business great. I know this sounds a little silly to use different words in our own head, but psychologically it has a different effect in our wiring system, and it has a different effect on another major thing, what we notice on the outside world. So we start to notice opportunities because of our language. So intention is, I'm going to make my business great next year. That's an intention, not a hope, an intention. The more we say that to ourselves, the more our belief grows, and then it becomes manifested.
Okay. So then with that then, as we talked on Friday, if we set our intention, if we're clear about what our goal is, what we want to achieve, then we visualize, a lot of elite athletes do this. It's about then visualizing what it's going to look like when we're there. A lot of elite athletes will visualize with their sports coach what standing on the top step looks like. A lot of people also use things like, a lot of business people and everyday folks will use things like dream boards, right, to help them to kind of visualize what that end game is going to look like.
Yeah, and the interesting thing today, Mark, you cannot find a top-class athlete who does not do this.
Absolutely.
And that is really quite a shock. And you think, well, if I want to be really good at my business, how can I not do this? The top athletes in the world do this.
Absolutely.
So it must have an effect, and it certainly does.
Good. All right. Great. Brilliant, Mark. So, folks, as I said at the top of the program, we're running this session on Wednesday evening this week around how to restart your business, and we'll be covering a lot of this stuff. So, get all the details over in the Better Business Workshop. Please remember to like and share and follow this stuff as well. And you can also, if you want to, book in for a session entirely complimentary with myself or Mark. And you can do that by going to calendly.com/action coach Milton Keynes. We'll be here again live tomorrow at 8:00. Mark, it's been absolutely brilliant to see you today.
You too, Mark. Nice to meet you again. One day we will shake hands. I think it will be probably October. That's my guess. I'll buy you a beer in October.
I look forward to that. Mark, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.
Yeah, see you soon.
Bye-bye.